you go feel the vibe. Experience, you go feel the vibe. Tell them, experience, feel that experience. Odum bring that experience, so link and vibe with the experience owner.
I joined a project called Voices of Africa. It was a project from Netherlands. What they did was they gave Nokia phones to young journalists across Africa to use the phone to shoot videos, edit and everything on that same small device, and then turn it into stories that were published on African News.
Plus,
I want to build something that is global, and when you see the content we do and even the people we attract, we have like global audience, and so we do engagements for brands that are not based in Ghana.
So from pursuing his career right from Untitled College as the editor to an experience with Odum, I present to you Ghana's prestigious and celebrity blogger, Ameyaw Debrah. I don't know if I'm to welcome Ameyaw Debrah on experience with Odum because I'm his resident or he's supposed to welcome me. But all the same, there's still a welcome.
There's a welcome, yeah.
Very good. So Ameyaw, so thank you for giving us the opportunity, or giving me the opportunity, my team and I, today to have an interview with you, and as we'll delve into the background of Ameyaw Debrah and what you do as a blogger and all that.
Sure.
So we'll go straight right from the background of who Ameyaw Debrah is. And I know that question comes a lot.
It's loaded, yeah.
Yes, comes a lot. But from how you started as a blogger, yes, that's what we want to know.
Yeah, cool.
How did it begin for you? Did you study anything?
Cool.
Yes.
Well, I mean, from your intro, you did mention that I was an editor back in Untitled College. So a bit of that was still there. Although I was a general science student in Untitled, I was part of the Writers, Debaters and Drama Club. And that was when the art part of me really started practicing it. And so from Untitled, I went to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where I pursued BA Publishing Studies. So it was during this period that when I was about ending, I was voted the best publishing student. And so I was rewarded for that, and that prize was sponsored by Ovation magazine. So as part of that, they gave me the opportunity to do my national service if I wanted to do it with the Ovation. So I took it up, and I did my national service, and that was when I really started writing to be published. And each time I wrote, the editor-in-chief was happy with what I did, and so I got a lot of articles published. So I guess that encouraged me to want to continue doing more. And around that period, I was also a lot of the times online. That was when High Five was popular. And so I started using High Five to build a presence and a following. And then about some few years later, sometime down the line, Facebook was also getting popular. So I switched to Facebook, and I was using that to build my audience, both in terms of sharing my experiences with writing, interviewing celebrities, and all of that online. And I also started now contributing to a lot of Pan-African websites based in the US, also because most of them were just picking from everywhere and aggregating it into content, and I felt that I was more present on the continent, and so I could give them exclusive. So I started contributing to a lot of them, mostly for free, but to build that presence online. And then a lot of the beginning of what it is today started when I joined a project called Voices of Africa. It was a project from Netherlands. What they did was they gave Nokia phones to young journalists across Africa to use the phone to shoot videos, edit and everything on that same small device, and then turn it into stories that were published on African News, africannews.com. So during this project, I had the opportunity to go and speak about it in South Africa. There was a forum called Highway Africa. It was just discussing all the trends in digital space as of that time. And it was when I went there, shared our experience in terms of our project, but then I also listened to people also share different experiences, and we had bloggers from all over the world coming in to talk about the impact of what they were doing. And although I had a small blog account on blogspot.com, um, it, I felt that I needed to now give it more personality and seriousness so that I too could have the identity of those who had come to share their experiences. And so when I got back to Ghana, I started taking the blogging seriously, and it was very helpful because, again, what Blogspot was a Google company, and so most of the time the SEO was good, and when people needed content from Ghana, etc., they were reading. And what I liked more was people, when they were coming to Ghana, they would inbox you because of the blog and ask you for suggestions. Where should they go out for fun and all of those things. So it was all good until I'm going to when we launched Ameyaw.com itself. So Ghana Celebrities, which is owned by another Addisadel boy, he was a junior. He didn't actually come to meet me in school, but he also started his platform and needed content. So he reached out to me, and I was like, oh, you can use my content. If I have some, I'll send it to you, and then you publish. So we began to have a relationship, a friendship online. And one time he was like, why don't you create your own website? And around that time, Perez Hilton, the American blogger, was popular, even though it wasn't his real name. But he had created that identity for himself that people loved and hated. So I was like, why don't we do something like that? Let's use my name. So we jokingly said, Ameyaw.com. And so he created it. He handed over the admin backend for me to just start publishing, because I was already publishing on different platforms, including Ghana Web. I was a content editor for Ghana Web. So when I got admin logins, it was just familiarizing myself with the platform. And then once I knew how to maneuver around it, we never stopped. We just kept pushing out content and combining it with the presence on Facebook, Twitter, to propel the content and make sure people saw what was new, they'll click, go and read. And that's how we started growing the business. And it was growing until a point where the owner of Ghana Web came to Ghana for the very first time. He's also Dutch. So he comes to Ghana and then he's listening to radio, and then he hears this program sponsored by Ameyaw.com, media partner Ameyaw.com. So he was like, so this Ameyaw.com is a big thing like that. So he was now raising up the issue of conflict of interest and felt that as their content editor, I should rather promote it so that all these events were rather having Ghana Web as a media partner, among other things. So we went back and forth until the time when I was like, Charlie, I've built something, people are liking it, the response is good, although the money coming from it is not great. It was always good to have a salary at the end of the month you could look up to. And so I took that bold decision, difficult decision perhaps, to say, hey, I'm on to something, let me just focus my energy on it and see what it grows into. So I agreed to leave Ghana Web, and then I started doing Ameyaw.com full time.
It's been a journey, I can see. Because from all you've been saying, even from Ghana Web, where you started all this, and you having like a conflict of interest, didn't you also feel like as a content creator, you'd had to also be pushing much more what Ghana Web was supposed to carry out?
Well, for me, I think I was doing what I had to do for Ghana Web in terms of our agreement, our contract. I was supposed to create the content for you, and already Ghana Web was big, so they didn't have any headache of finding new audiences. So mine was create the content for the audience that we have, and then that's it. Whereas on my platform, I was looking for new audience, because I push my content through my social media so people will find it and then engage with the content. So for me, I thought, although there are similarities, by and large, there were those variations also that allowed me to operate. And there was content that I was doing on Ameyaw.com that wouldn't fit onto Ghana Web also. So that unique content, and of course there were those that merged, and so those that are put here and put there also. But I mean, that's what I said. So in my subsequent jobs that I had to do for Pulse and then for Yen, that was, we covered it as, yes, I will compete with you while I'm working for you. So that then didn't become, it didn't become an issue in the subsequent jobs that I did.
And so we could say that even your friend, your junior at GhanaCelebrities.com was the one who propelled you into starting what today we see as Ameyaw
Debrah.com. Well, I think eventually I would have done it. I would have created my own domain. I think Linda KG, for instance, was very comfortable doing the blogspot until the point when she had to change. So I think even without Chris pushing it, I would have even gone at a point earlier to say, this is what I want to do. It gives that unique identity, it gives you control, and you didn't have to rely on the platforms themselves. Because if you were relying on Blogspot and for some reason Blogspot found out that they didn't want you on there, or for whatever reason they stopped existing, that means your platform is dead also. So eventually I would have.
So you said earlier you were sponsoring events. You were the names were all over, like
all over
radio and all that. What was the channel for you getting through all these events? Did it start from you pitching from Ovation, or how was it challenging?
Yes, so I think it helped. So from Ovation, I had that introduction to the industry, and when I left Ovation, a lot of that lingered on. So those who were in contact with me for Ovation were still in contact with me, and so they would invite you as and when. And then also, there wasn't really a break. I built that online presence right in between. So even with that Ovation, I was also a bit relevant. So people knew that even if I had to just post it on my social media, it's still content, and they were continuing that invitation coming through. So when I left Ghana Web, then really now I had to fend for myself, technically in terms of making money for myself. And so that was when the challenge came in. A few weeks after leaving Ghana Web, I get an email from Google. They were taking me off AdSense, so I couldn't monetize my website through Google Ads. And that was like a hard hit, because that was only the direct way I could make money. And coming from having a salary to not going to make money, what was even painful is the money I had made, because they had cancelled it. They didn't say, oh, that money, let me give it to you. They're like, we're taking that money, we're giving it back to the advertiser. So I was not going to have anything. So I changed my strategy in terms of marketing and all of that. And so people that I would do things for free in the past, when they come, I'll say, oh, now, Charlie, you have to pay a little token, because that is how I would also survive. So people started paying these tokens. And also around that point, the online space wasn't attractive enough for companies and brands to engage with, or they were more stuck in the traditional means that they would do radio, television, billboards, newspaper, etc. So we went through those growing pains to now where a lot of businesses are even doing, some are even doing more online than in traditional media. So these were some of the pains that we had to grow and go through.
So we are talking about the year 2015, about?
No, much earlier. So, well, Ameyaw Debrah was launched in 2009. So it was much earlier, and before that I was doing all those other things. So 2009, from there I started pushing, changing strategies in terms of making revenue, and then gradually I started forming relationships with agencies, and so Vodafone brought in something, Samsung started coming in, Malta Guinness actually was my first commercial engagement where we did something for Rising Africa. So it was me, I think Jay Foley was it, or and I think Nashoko. So we were all picking icons from Africa that were doing more Ghana, that were doing amazing things. And my person was Fuse. So we did a commercial with me and Fuse. So that was when it started becoming possible that, hey, what I'm doing, we are connecting with brands and evolving. So as part of the evolution, you realize that now you are becoming a business. So that was when in 2013, I registered Ameyaw Debrah Media, where we are providing media services, PR services, among other things. So everything that I have now is under Ameyaw Media. So we have ameyawdebrah.com, we have Ameyaw TV, all under Ameyaw Debrah Media.
I must say there's been an expansion. And in terms of capacity growth, looking from where you started from to today, I mean, talking about where you saying that now it's Ameyaw Debrah Media. I mean, before we all know Ameyawdebrah.com.
Yes, yes.
And some would also term you as the god of bloggers, the father of bloggers.
Bloggers, yes.
And today you are here. From then to now, what's been the capacity growth?
Cool.
Because I'm sure that you've aided to employment.
Yes. I mean, the moment I started, when I registered in 2013, the idea was it becomes a business that I run. So when I registered ameyawdebrah.com, I was going to hire some people, at least a few people to work with. And then just around that time, Ringier, Ghana was also decided to now launch Pulse, because they had started it in Ghana, in Nigeria, and wanted to bring it to Ghana as well. So they looked around, and then they hired me to come and lead that project. So instead, lots of the people that I was going to hire for myself, I rather started hiring for Ringier and for Pulse. So they joined from at Pulse, and then we started. I did 6 months of that, and then just around when I was about to leave Pulse, the owners of Genesis Technology, also they had been in Kenya and Nigeria, and they were looking to come to Ghana. So they also reached out to me. This is what they wanted to do, and then I came up with yen.com.gh. I registered that. I managed it for almost 2 years, or a little over 2 years, and then again I hired people to occupy various spaces there. I worked with it for some years, and then I left, and then now came back to me again. And then at this time, this is when I decided, a little over 4 years ago, I decided to now start Ameyaw TV. And so now I started hiring new people. So what happened with Ameyaw TV was I put it out there that if you think you could present, do like a self audition, put it on social media, let's see. And then I got people submitting. I wrote it down a little. I did a final audition where I got a team. We produced, we watch you, and then based on your performance, I shortlisted a few. And then I again went back to the public for people to vote who they really wanted to see. And the idea was I was doing something new. The idea was that I'll get one presenter, maybe 2 people, and then I start with them. And then, but a lot of them brought different things that I liked. So I ended up, I started with 6 people at a go. And then I got one person who was going to do the production and editing and everything. And then it started growing from there. But it wasn't easy, you know. Before, you work alone. Every money that comes to you, you chop alone. But now, you are hiring people, not just 1, 2, but you start with 6, 7. And you have to invest in equipment to get, invest in space and all of that for the production. And it was hard because the first few months I was spending, nothing was coming in. Sometimes you wake up and say, are you doing the right thing? Should you give up? Even when you do the stories, the videos you put on YouTube, we're not getting engagement like everybody else on who was in that space was doing, because perhaps our content was not like that. It doesn't pull traffic like that. So we went through that, but I stuck, and we're almost 5 years into it. I think our audience have grown to like our content. They found what works with them, and then even more importantly, the bigger community is understanding what we want to do, how we want to do it, and we are getting engagement and we're able to make some money in different ways through what we are offering. So in terms of capacity, currently we have a team of about 8. Some of them are frequent, others come, they work with us maybe once a week on specific productions. So it's exciting that we're able to at least give some form of employment to young graduates, people who are still in school and working with them. So yes, in terms of capacity, we've built our own capacity and also helped people in other ways to find what they can do in the media space.
Great. So Ameyaw, we're going on a quick breather, but before that, you spoke about YouTube, the engagement and all that. When you come back from the commercial break, we're going to delve into how YouTube, Instagram and the website, how it has been engaging for you and the reach it has taken you through.
Cool.
So delve with us as we go on a quick breather, and when we come back, we'll delve straight into the interview.
You go feel the vibe, experience.
All right, so thank you for staying tuned, and we are back from the commercial break. Like I was asking before we went to the commercial break, YouTube, the website, social media, which has been more engaging for you, and which one has been much more, I mean, you say financially
rewarding, something like that, where I get my money from. So I think I plug into everything, but for a very long time, my website is what has my attention because that's what I make the money from. So even with social media, you realize that when you go to Twitter, majority of my tweets are links from the website. When you come to Facebook, the core of what I do is sharing the links from Facebook, from my website, and then everything else becomes engagement and things like that, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at how to monetize. And you realize that there are bloggers who have come up, theirs is to just post stuff on YouTube, on Facebook directly, Instagram directly, and all of them are becoming popular and have to deal with all of that because the audience now, once they see it on Instagram, they are cool. They don't want to go to some website, but then we still rely on our website, and we still plug in everything. And even on my website now, what makes me more money is selling links, selling articles to people. So people pay from all over the world for me to write about or publish. So I have a rate if I'm writing myself. I have a rate if you're the one sending to me. It's obviously cheaper because I don't have to write it. So these are ways I have branched into. And also, again, still on social media, I do social media engagement. So we do influencing. Somebody will pay for me to promote something. And also all of that. So I don't sort of treat them separately. The challenge, like I said earlier, was YouTube. Especially since we were new, it was difficult for us to make money on YouTube. But then again, every time we have one video that is doing very well, and so we see the numbers coming. But thankfully now we're also monetizing on Facebook in terms of our videos, and so we make a little here, and then I don't like to neglect any of the platforms because all of them have their strength and their weaknesses. What you can do with Twitter, you cannot do with Facebook. The reach you can get here, you may not get there. So I combine everything. I think TikTok is the only place that I'm struggling to really.
You have to be dancing.
But I don't want to, not everybody wants to clown. I think Ghana, that's the thing. On YouTube, it's comedy, it's controversial things, people insulting people. That is what sets the pace. And that's not the kind of brand we have. And so when we are on each platform, we want to have our identity and still grow on the platform. Even with TikTok, we are growing gradually. I think before we give up but now we've decided that let's be consistent and grow the numbers. So that's how we use social media generally.
I think, like you're saying, comedy and controversials and all that, that has made you much more relevant because you stay clean and there's consistency for you dealing with what I have to do, and I think people get to accept it much more when they see that, okay, this is what you're doing, and it's actually quality than what it would come and go.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to build something that is global, and when you see the content we do, and even the people we attract, we have like global audience, and so we do engagement for brands that are not based in Ghana, international organizations and all of that, because that's how I want it to be, and it's working.
Great. And so you'd say that the young chap out there who's very good with social media and all that. I mean, when it comes to that, very good writers, they are very good people who are in tune with social media, Twitter,
Instagram, Facebook, etc.
YouTube, and all that. Would you say that blogging is one that you can actually take as a personal career and say that, you know what, I'm doing this and I'm fully pledged to it. This is what I want to create out there, and in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, I should be out there.
Sure. Yeah, I would definitely say yes. There are a lot of opportunities. It may seem like it's choked at the moment, but if everybody left it and it was only Ameyaw Debrah who was doing it, then it would have been only me doing it and enjoying whatever that comes. But people have come on board. We've seen other people excel. They're doing it their own way. So there's opportunity. So if you're young out there and you want to be a part of it, grab it. Find what makes you unique. It should be important to do that. And remember, it doesn't always have to be entertainment, because the world is so big. There are many issues, many subjects to tackle, and it's quite sad that everything has to be around entertainment. When somebody says, I want to be a blogger, they always go a certain way. You can look into the environment, you can look into women issues, you can look into relationships. There's content to be created around all of these niche areas, and I think people should venture into it. And social media, young people who want to go into social media, it's not just about blogging. There are lots of opportunities. Even if you are selling shoes, you have to use social media to find ways to attract and meet your audience so that they see the value you are offering and buy whatever service or goods that you have for them. So it's a good space. Currently, we don't know what is going to be in the next year, but it's going to get better. And we shouldn't be left behind, because this is something that has sort of leveled the playing ground for all of us. Africans have the opportunity to use social media just as much as the kids in America have. And we're able to cross over. I remember there was a Jamaican in America who once wanted to order some things from Ghana, some clothing from some lady who makes artifacts and things like that. The only payment method was mobile money. Around that time, mobile money had not evolved to the point where people in America can use Wave, etc. to do. So now I had to pay the money for her here. She paid me back in America, and then they got the product. So it's that kind of connectivity that the social media is bringing to us, and it's important for the young people especially to grab it, not just for the fun part, not just for the trends and mocking and trolling. It's exciting for a minute, but then what? People should use it so that they benefit from it a lot more.
Great. So talking about benefiting from it and all that, like you said, today social media years back wasn't like it is today, and we are gradually moving into a space where, you know, everybody even gets to work on social media and makes some money from it. And like you're saying, what we are doing today, the relevance of it would make us stay in the next years to come. So looking at all these, what has been that highest moment for you? And you say that, you know what, you sit back and you look and you say that, yeah, thus I've come far.
Well, I think it's a journey, at every moment something happens, you look back and you realize that you're doing something and people like. I mean, looking back, being able to employ people, for me, it's a personal highlight because it started with something from my phone, roaming about, going to the front stage of concerts with a little phone, trying to capture something and put it out there for people to enjoy and react to it. To now, being able to set up my own sort of workspace for my team, a studio for us to do production, and also perhaps even rent it out for people to come and use it as and when they have needs for it. I think it's an exciting journey. I don't know where it's taking us yet, but I have a vision and what I would want it to be. We want to grow into a full 360 digital media company, providing marketing, social media marketing ideas, solutions to people, brands, etc. Video production, we want to be able to do productions for people, not for ourselves. People hire us to do event coverage for them, and documentaries, everything else. We want to be that media company that will represent well.
You're talking about the studio. Once you are here, I think we would also like to appreciate what you have. I mean, you have built up the edifice, you have built up, and for viewers to actually also see that today you have the studio that from wherever you are, if you want to probably come and have a space there and do whatever you want to do in terms of production, you can as well also do it. And before we leave you, your advice to the youth. I think you've already spoken about social media, but we are looking at it from also that point of outside social media. Those who would want to pursue something, because you have pursued something right from Adisado College, and you got an opportunity to have Ovation pick you up, and today, thanks be to God, we say you are Ameyaw Debrah, and Ameyaw Debrah is now a household name. So wherever you go, when you mention Ameyaw Debrah, it's not something that would, even out of Ghana, it's not something that would play around it. So for the youth there who would want to also pursue a dream, what would be that one thing? What was that wow factor for them that they should keep on moving?
Well, for me, I would say probably passion. Find something that you're passionate about, something you love doing, and explore opportunities around that. You realize that when you are doing something and you are passionate about it, you give it your all. You will try, you may fail, but you're still driven because you know this is what you want to do. And a lot of that has been what I do. And also be inspired by people. Know that somebody is doing something, get that inspiration, but within that inspiration, find what is you, what is unique about you, and then direct that passion to see what somebody has done within that field, and that marriage, I think, together would help you to find some success. And it's not going to be easy. I have been fortunate. It was like things just fell into place at various stages. Even when the challenges came, fortunately, I found ways to go around it. So you should know it's not going to be easy. You have to be persistent at whatever you've chosen to do. When you try and it doesn't work, find alternative ways to achieving it. And mentorship, find people within the space, let them find out how they did it, and then direct that in your own story, how that can impact. And hopefully you find that true thing that is you, and that will bring you that success that you desire.
I mean, you speaking about mentorship, I read that you're very open up to also even speaking to people right on social media, advising them on all that. But would you in a space organize like a career fair or something like that. For those, especially who want to be in the blogging space. Are we in some time looking at Ameyaw holding a class or bringing people up to as well? I mean, aside
what I'm doing,
your employees and all that.
Yeah, so it's something that is possible. A lot of people have asked me to look into it, but also I don't always wait and say that I have to organize it. People do organize different forums, fora, and I get the opportunity to be invited to go and speak and do all of that. So although I haven't done it myself on my own, I continually engage with other people on different platforms to share that story and hopefully inspire people.
So Ameyaw, before we end, I mean, we'd like to take a glimpse of how the studio looks like, and
Sure.
we can say we can call this a day. I mean,
It's been a pleasure.
Alright, so you're welcome to Ameyaw Debrah's studio. Yes, so like we say, this is experience with Odum. We give you an experience. And first time, shooting, I've not seen such a beautiful edifice for some time now. It's a container actually.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a container.
So this part is a container, and then we extended it with woodworks to the back.
Creativity at its best. Thank you for having us. Hosting us has been a good time here. Your studio, your new setup, it's a nice edifice. Creativity on point, and your advice to the youth is remarkable. Sometimes we need, most times, not even sometimes, most times we need people who set the pace and to actually be there when a lot of people need them and actually know how it all started for them. And yes, so we'll say that thank you once again, and we've had a good time. It's been an experience actually, moving from our studios to this place. I don't think our guests would be, or our audience would be expecting that our next show would be from the house.
It's been a pleasure also, so thanks for having me.
Great. So, thank you for staying tuned, and same time, we'll catch you on the flip side of life. Keep being who you are, be relevant, and do you best.
You go feel the vibe, you go make you feel alive, experience. You go feel the vibe, you go make you feel